Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to try putting the exhaust on the car. I've got a exhaust that came in with the pail of parts with the project. There's a mid pipe, there's tailpipes, mufflers. I've never done any test fitting on it. I did clean up the headers so that the studs on the headers are workable and have workable threads, but that's as far as I have gotten with the exhaust. We'll go ahead and get the car in the air and we'll eyeball some of this stuff up and we'll see, for starters, whether it's going to fit together at all, and see if we can't start making some headway on getting an exhaust on the car. All right, so I dragged this stuff out of the weeds here in the corner of the shop, and this is really the first time I'm taking any kind of a serious look at it. This is a mid pipe. It's a factory mid pipe. I'm pretty sure that you don't want to get too excited. I thought they told me these cats had been gutted. There's oxygen sensors, which I think before we proceed, maybe we should take these sensors out, or try to, because if they're jammed in there, they're going to be a lot easier to get out on the floor than they are after we got them jammed up in the car. There's quite a bit of cobwebs and stuff on this. The threads on some of this stuff don't look the greatest, so I think I'm going to chase those. I don't know. Besides there being dirt, cobwebs and stuff all over this, this flange isn't really the nicest. But, okay, so that's through that flange. Boy, I wonder when the last time this stuff was on a car was. Who knows? If this stuff won't even slide together on the floor, there's little chance it's going to go together on the car. Okay, there we go. So those are slid together. This stuff at the back, oh my, it's put together with these terrible clamps, and this is actually spot welded. Sometimes when you've got this whole deal assembled, it can be a real pain to get in the car. Back here, it looks like we've got some factory hangers and and rubber isolators. I don't actually remember what's on the car, but we'll have a look under the car. Maybe we will get under here and just try and eyeball how these parts would look as far as trying to get them onto the car. The car has a Stifler's K-member, so we got lots of clearance here, presumably for the exhaust, although I'm not quite sure what to think about this speedometer cable. Whether that's going to be okay or not. We definitely had some issue with getting this all assembled here, and I would sooner see the speedometer cable be above the cross member. Obviously I left some bolts undone on the cross member here. Maybe that's because I didn't like where the speedometer cable was. Now, I reconditioned the threads on these bolts before I put the motor in, so we got something we should be able to bolt up to there. There normally would be hangers here to hang those pieces off of. They're not strictly necessary, and they're not installed here, so we're not going to worry too much about that. And then coming back here, we've got to get the tailpipes over the rear end. Now, it's hanging as low as it can without disconnecting shocks. We could potentially disconnect a shock and let it hang more. Sometimes that's the way to do this, or maybe we need to take something apart on that exhaust. So I'm gonna grab this mid pipe here, and we'll just kind of roughly position it, and we'll see, if it's gonna semi line up or not. What about these little tabs? I think they're going to clear. It's not going to be the easiest, but presumably that'll fit. Let's bring this one tailpipe in and see what the chances are that it could be slipped over here. I can see we got the remnants of a hanger set up there, and we also got the remnants of a hanger set up back here. We can probably take these pieces off. That's not real easy, that's for sure. Let's take some stuff off, do some prep work, and we'll see how far we get. Half the battle with trying to make old stuff like this work is reconditioning the parts. So the studs on this mid pipe were terrible. There's no way anything was going to thread onto them. I've done a variety of things here. I tried a brass brush on a die grinder. That helps, and often that'll help if the fastener's just dirty. I tried a die from a tap and die set, and of course the die handles are too long, they interfere, so I just put some 5/16 bolts in there, which are shorter than the die handles are, as you can see, and that gave me enough leverage to be able to turn it without touching the other studs. And now I can thread a nut on there, no problem. So that's one problem solved, but you know, it takes time and messing around in order to get it. I'm going to go through here and start pulling off redundant hangers and stuff like that to see what can be done about actually fishing some of this exhaust into the car. I ended up turning off the camera so I could concentrate on the job. It was a kind of a miserable job trying to put this old salvaged exhaust onto the car. When you go to install the mid pipe with factory headers, which is what this car has, if you have oxygen sensors in there, it can be very difficult to get your tools up in there to install the nuts on the studs on the factory headers. I needed to get the oxygen sensors out. They're much harder to get out when they're in the car, so you're better off to do it when you got the part loose. And of course, they were frozen in. It takes a box end wrench and a big hammer, liberal application of WD-40, and for one of them, I actually ended up having to apply a little bit of heat as well. They were really in there, but I did manage to get them out. And of course, because they were so hard to come out, I ended up chasing those holes with a tap, the special metric tap. I think it's M18 1.5. And I actually did buy new sensors for this project, so those are available if necessary. It's over here on the passenger side. You can see, if you look carefully, you can see you can get a long socketed wrench up there. But on the underside here, you got to get a long socketed wrench on here. And if there's an oxygen sensor in here, it makes it really, really hard. I wasn't real happy with how this speedometer cable went through here. I tried to get it put in a different way, but it wouldn't. And there's enough clearance here, and if there was any sign of trouble, we could put heat wrap over it. So I think that's okay. Back here is where these studs all had to be reconditioned, and that has gone together pretty good. We've got these mufflers in here. They are Flowmasters. In this case, the tailpipes had been attached to the exhaust using the old U-bolt style clamps. When you use the U-bolt style clamps, they crush the pipe so that they have a kind of an indentation around the center. It makes it almost impossible to take apart. On top of that, one of the tailpipes was actually tack welded to the muffler. So in order to get it apart, first I had to cut through the tack welds. Then ultimately, after trying a bunch of different stuff, the thing that worked was actually to cut slots in the extension pipe off the muffler itself. Then it could be pried open a little bit so that we could actually pound the tailpipe out. And it took a soft face hammer, a dead blow hammer to actually beat the tailpipes out. After I got them out, I expanded the slots a little bit so that the tailpipe could be fitted in and out for assembly. It's better if you're going to slot it for the muffler to be a loose item and not have the tailpipe in it, because it's easy to cut right through the tailpipe if you're not careful. To slot it, I used kind of a combination of a Dremel tool with a flex shaft for the fine work and an air tool with a cutoff wheel on it. Back under here, you can see where I had to slot the outlet on the mufflers. That's done in order to get them apart. I don't know if we've got this totally tight, but I've tried to put it in a way that it could be taken apart again. So hopefully it's going to be okay. Hopefully we got clearance back in here. This doesn't matter because it's not hooked up to anything. The fuel lines here do have clearance to the exhaust. You know, the tailpipes are nasty. The car isn't the nicest back here anyway. I'm not sure what the origin of these non-mandrel tailpipes are. Who knows? But back at the back of the car, I got decent clearance here, and I have some clearance here. If I was gonna do much more with this, I think I would probably work on this a little bit. But you know, this has been kind of scabbed together. It probably just needs to be a little bit longer. Like it could perhaps be bent a little bit here to give it a little more clearance, maybe. We're almost ready to start the car with the exhaust on and see how we did. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so that you won't miss out on future videos.